And so as far as the state of social business and some of the things I talked about today, I mentioned that we're at this inflection point where I think businesses, both large and small and medium sized, are really starting to understand that there needs to be some formality behind how they approach social. That it can't just be going out and launching sites. A lot of these organizations are global in nature. And that was really the theme, like how to tap social from a business perspective to benefit your business in a way that is, just not totally chaotic, that has some coordination behind it. Simply put, social business is really a way to talk about, again, the disruption and the opportunity a bit more holistically. When we look at social media marketing, that's one slice of it. That's adding a social layer to marketing functions. And then you could even go deeper in that slice and say, well, that's why we want videos to go viral. And I think that's where a lot of these initiatives started. But now, as the space is beginning to mature, I still think it's in its infancy. I think businesses are starting to understand that they're seeing different departments grab things and run with it and go launch initiatives. And that's the proof point that social really is bigger than media, right? So social business is a much broader way at looking at social, and it's looking at it from a business perspective across the entire organization. So I ended the presentation using the example of something that Walmart is kind of experimenting with. And it's a small example, but I think it's very telling in that what their lab, I think it's Walmart Labs, what they're doing is they're beginning to look at Twitter data, and they're looking at how that data relates to products that the retailer carries, and leveraging things like conversations that happen both positive and negative on certain brands and products, and they're trying to figure out if those conversations can impact the things that they put on their shelves. Should they be, if there's a lot of really positive conversation that's emerging around a specific product, is that something that they should be carrying more of? Because maybe that's an indicator that demand could go up. So I think that's where things get really interesting, is when you start to think about, in the industry it's called predictive modeling, right? Basically looking at data to not just to react to things, but begin to sort of plan and predict for them before they happen. So I think over the next 5 years, you're going to hear a lot about that. And I think we're seeing bits and pieces of it. I mentioned IBM doing some really cool things in a sort of decentralized way. A lot of activity in terms of a big workforce, a big base of employees who are very active. The Verizon example that I gave, in that they're using social, where 90% of product and service refinements are actually inspired by feedback that they're getting from consumers, and they also do education, and they have multiple blogs that they use to communicate. The Best Buy 12 Force example I think is really interesting. I think that model is a little bit ahead of its time. So there's a lot of proof points out there that show different ways companies are using social, and there's still a lot of great things happening in the marketing space. I was just at an event last week, and Ford's doing a lot. They're making a big investment in social as it applies specifically to the marketing channel. So I think you're starting to see the different examples, and you can begin to sort of look at them per business function. But then what I'm trying to encourage people to do is to look at the whole as well, which is how social impacts a lot of different areas within a business.